The Silent Promise, Chapter 1, The Forgotten Letter. Sophia stood in the dimly lit attic, dust swirling in the golden shafts of light streaming through a cracked window. She had spent countless summers in her grandmother's old house, yet she had never noticed the small wooden box hidden beneath a pile of yellowed newspapers. With trembling fingers, she lifted the lid and found a bundle of letters tied with a faded blue ribbon. One envelope bore her name, written in elegant cursive. Her heart pounded. Who had written to her? And why had this letter remained hidden for so long? Chapter 2. A Mysterious Beginning. The letter was aged, its ink slightly smudged. Sophia unfolded it carefully. Dearest Sophia, if you are reading this, then fate has brought you here at the right moment. I have left behind a story that you must uncover. A secret lies within these walls, waiting for you to bring it to light. Trust your instincts. Follow the clues. There was no signature. The cryptic words sent a shiver down her spine. She knew she couldn't ignore this. Chapter 3. Shadows of the Past. Sophia spent the next few days combing through the attic. She found old photographs, rusted keys, and brittle maps, but nothing that explained the letter. Then, she stumbled upon an old diary with initials EW embossed on its cover. The pages were filled with hurried handwriting, recounting the life of a woman named Eleanor Whitmore. The last entry was chilling. They are coming. I must hide it before it is too late. Sophia's fingers tightened around the book. What had Eleanor hidden? And who was coming for her? Chapter 4. A Stranger in Town. Determined to learn more, Sophia visited the town's historical archive. As she pored over old records, a shadow fell across her table. Looking for something, a deep voice asked. She glanced up and met the piercing gaze of a man in his early 30s. He had sharp features and an air of quiet authority. I'm researching my family history, Sophia said hesitantly. The man smiled. Then we have something in common. I'm Daniel Whitmore. Eleanor was my great-grandmother. Chapter 5. A Hidden Passage. Daniel invited Sophia to his estate, where Eleanor had lived before mysteriously disappearing in 1942. The house was an architectural marvel, filled with grand chandeliers and spiral staircases. As they explored the study, Sophia ran her hand along the wooden bookshelf. Suddenly, something clicked. The shelf moved, revealing a hidden passage. She exchanged a glance with Daniel. Without a word, they stepped inside. Chapter 6. The Room That Time Forgot. Cobwebs clung to the walls, and the air smelled of decay. At the center of the room stood a heavy oak desk, covered in papers and a small, locked chest. Sophia's fingers brushed over a faded photograph. It was Eleanor, standing beside a man in military uniform. The date on the back read 1941. This man. He was never mentioned in any records, Daniel murmured. Sophia's mind raced. Was this the person Eleanor had tried to protect? Chapter 7. The Forgotten Cipher. Inside the desk, they found a yellowed piece of parchment covered in strange symbols. A cipher. Daniel frowned. My great-grandmother was known for her intelligence. If she created a code, it must be something important. They worked late into the night, decoding the symbols. The message read, "The truth lies beneath the ivy-covered stone." Chapter 8. The Garden of Secrets. The next morning, Sophia and Daniel searched Eleanor's abandoned garden. It was overgrown, the ivy twisting around everything in sight. Then, Sophia's foot struck something hard beneath the ivy. She knelt and brushed the leaves away, revealing a large, flat stone. Carved into its surface were Eleanor's initials. With great effort, Daniel pried it open. Beneath the stone was a small, rusted box. Chapter 9. The Truth Unveiled. Inside the box lay a collection of letters and a single silver locket. Sophia opened the locket and gasped. Inside was a miniature photograph of Eleanor and the mysterious man from the old picture. One letter was addressed to Daniel's grandfather. My love, if you are reading this, I am gone. War has stolen our time, but I have kept our promise safe. Know that our love was never a secret, it was a revolution. Sophia realized the truth. Eleanor and the soldier had been lovers, forced apart by war and family expectations. Chapter 10. The Silent Promise. Daniel's hands trembled as he held the letter. She wanted him to know she never stopped loving him. Sophia touched the locket gently. And she made sure their story wouldn't be forgotten. A wave of emotion passed between them. They had uncovered a love story hidden for decades, a silent promise sealed in history. Chapter 11. The Soldier's Last Letter. Sophia and Daniel carefully sorted through the letters inside the rusted box. Most were Eleanor's letters to her beloved, but one envelope was different. It was unopened. Daniel hesitated before opening it. The letter was dated March 1942 and signed with the initials J.H. My dearest Eleanor, I do not know if this letter will reach you. War has taken me far from you, but every breath I take carries your name. If fate is cruel and I do not return, remember that my love for you has never wavered. I left something behind for you, a promise buried where our hearts first met. Sophia's pulse quickened. He left something behind. Daniel's eyes darkened. Where their hearts first met, but where was that? Chapter 12. The Clock Tower Clue. Eleanor's diary mentioned a place she and the soldier loved, a clock tower in the heart of town. Sophia and Daniel hurried there, only to find it abandoned and partially collapsed. The air smelled of rust and damp stone. As they climbed the broken stairs, the old wood creaked beneath their feet. At the top, Sophia noticed an engraving on the railing. J+E, 1941. Daniel traced the letters. This is it. This is where they met, but there was nothing else. No hidden compartment, no box. Had someone already taken it? Chapter 13. A Race Against Time. Sophia felt a chill. If someone had found the soldier's secret, what had they done with it? We need to go back to the records, Daniel said. They returned to the archives, digging through old police reports and historical documents. Then, Sophia gasped. A newspaper clipping from 1940 to read, Mysterious break-in at the Whitmore estate. Nothing reported stolen. Daniel's jaw clenched. Someone knew Eleanor was hiding something. Sophia's mind raced. And if they didn't find it, that means it's still out there. Chapter 14. The Enemy Within. As they left the archive, a black car was parked across the street. Sophia's instincts screamed danger. Daniel frowned. That car has been there for the past hour. Just as he spoke, the engine roared to life, and the car drove away. Sophia shivered. What if we're not the only ones looking for Eleanor's secret? Daniel's expression hardened. Then we need to find it first. Chapter 15. The Secret Beneath the Stone. They returned to the Whitmore estate that night. Armed with a flashlight, they retraced their steps to the ivy-covered stone. Daniel knocked on the stone carefully and heard a hollow sound. There's something underneath. Together, they pried it open, revealing another box. This one was larger, heavier. Inside was a set of old documents. Sophia read aloud, classified confidential. Military Operations, 1941. Her breath caught. This wasn't just a love story. Eleanor had been protecting a war secret. Chapter 16. Betrayal and Sacrifice. One of the documents contained maps, codes, and locations of secret Allied operations. If this had fallen into the wrong hands during the war, thousands could have died. Sophia suddenly understood. Eleanor's soldier J.H. wasn't just a soldier. He was a spy. Daniel's face turned pale. And someone tried to steal this information back then. Sophia flipped through the pages and froze. There was a name written at the bottom. Benedict Whitmore, Daniel's great-grandfather. Daniel's hands tightened into fists. He betrayed them. Chapter 17. A Warning from the Past. Eleanor must have known about the betrayal. She had hidden the documents to protect the truth. But had Benedict Whitmore been working with the enemy, or had he tried to stop them? As they stood there, the sound of footsteps echoed in the distance. Sophia whispered, "Someone's here." Daniel grabbed her hand. "Run." Chapter 18. The Confrontation. They barely made it inside before the stranger reached them. A tall man in a black coat stepped into the clearing. His voice was calm but menacing. "You have something that doesn't belong to you." Sophia held the box tightly. "Who are you?" The man smirked. "Let's just say, I work for people who have been searching for this for a long time." Daniel stepped forward. "This isn't yours." The man pulled out a gun. "I beg to differ." Chapter 19. The truth comes to light. Just as the man raised the gun, headlights flooded the area. A second car pulled up, and police officers jumped out. "Drop the weapon," an officer commanded. The man hesitated but then surrendered. As he was handcuffed, one of the officers turned to Sophia and Daniel. "We've been following this case for years. The secrets Eleanor hid were valuable enough that people were still searching for them today." Sophia finally let out a breath. But now the truth is safe, Daniel nodded. Eleanor's promise is finally fulfilled. Chapter 20, The Silent Promise Kept. In the following weeks, the documents were turned over to the authorities. The story of Eleanor Whitmore NJH was published in newspapers, and the town finally learned about the sacrifices made in silence. Daniel and Sophia stood at the clock tower one last time, looking at the engraved initials. She never stopped loving him, Sophia murmured. Daniel smiled. And she never stopped protecting what mattered. As the wind carried their whispers into the night, Sophia knew that Eleanor's silent promise had finally been kept.